All right, so yo, man, welcome
Thank
to
you.
the podcast. Okay, I start this podcast the same way every time, just letting you know that I have not named the podcast yet.
Awesome.
I don't know what it is.
I don't
yet.
even know why I'm here, so let's just get
I know I gave you the microphone. He was like, okay, what am I doing here?
let's do it. So you and I are in the same boat.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So I don't have a name for it, but I think it's really cool though because I had an idea to do it.
Yeah.
And instead of getting the logo and the name, I was like, let me just interview these cool people.
Yeah. I've been in the same boat.
Yeah, that's the name
And
of the
then
game.
And then you figure it out.
So please, man, introduce yourself, man, for those that don't know you.
Yeah. So my name is Andrew. A lot of people call me Drew. You can find me online at Brand with Drew. Just long story short, co-founder of two major companies right now that we're working with. One is a marketing agency. We do a lot of personal branding for a lot of pro athletes, CEO, executives, entrepreneurs. It didn't start like that, right? When we first started 4 or 5 years ago, it was a wide spread, hey, we'll do anything for anybody, logos and websites, and as we've grown and as we've niched, we find out our ideal client and, referrals and all that good stuff kind of happens. So, you kind of just build a business and you figure out who you want to work with and who gives you the best ROI for your time, and you kind of just niche it and you grow there. Did that for about 4 or 5 years. Before that, I was a Hampton graduate, used to cut hair, used to DJ, right? Very entrepreneurial, but not because these are things that I necessarily wanted to do. They were more so I saw a need in the market, right? So I think that's the fastest way to make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
By looking at the market, your circle, and seeing, well, where are the needs and services that you can provide. And the fastest way to sell anything is, to have a problem or just to make that connection. Did that for 4 or 5 years, moved down to Atlanta, grew here a little bit. I wouldn't say got bored, but got to a place where everything was pretty good, living in Buckhead, everything was fun and dandy. Sat for a couple months, not really doing too much. And then the idea, I wouldn't say the idea, but the timing of building a platform for diverse creators and entrepreneurs and truly making it very beneficial to the audience really took place, and that was summer of 2017. That went on to be the Build Your Own Brand kind of group, and so people will say BYOB a lot, and we started that by doing a nationwide tour from Atlanta, drove to Charlotte, DC, Philly, New York, Chicago, down the middle of the country, Dallas, Arizona, LA, San Francisco. Sold out pretty much the majority of it, did 100 to 200 people. And then just really built brand, right? Really built trust and connections with people all across the country. And come around this year, instead of going around and doing the same thing, we were saying, hey, let's bring everybody together.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of how we did our first BYOB retreat. Obviously, there's a lot of other back-end stuff behind there, but overarching, that allowed us to pull off BYOB retreat, which has built a lot more awareness for myself, our team, things like that, because now it's more of it's still B2B, but like we just said earlier, right? Consumers even want to be business owners, right? So it's like B2C. The old agency is more, high level B2B.
Yeah, man, and it was a phenomenal event, man. I think it's so dope though because you have somewhat of a younger demographic, kind of like just getting out of college or like really kind of getting a career going. And that many hungry people. 'Cause at 24, I was an idiot.
Right.
I was an idiot. I would not have come
right.
to a conference at 24,
That's
right?
real.
So for you to
That's
like
real.
really pull those type of people together,
Yeah.
how do you break through? I'm talking about they're fresh out of parties, like they're smelling like liquor,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like how are you penetrating the minds of these young people?
Yeah. So it's great. I mean, so obviously the way, again, we talk about this a lot too, having a true understanding of the psychographic of our market is very important, right? And I don't know when you were 24, but let's just say it was a couple years ago, right? At that time,
More than a couple.
okay. At that time, let's think about the psychographic there, because the internet was a little different, social media was a little different, right? Those things affect your mind, and so if you move forward to nowadays, you have to really be mindful of the things that affect their mind. And so they're already, we always kind of look back at younger people and we see like, wow, they're so hungry, or they're so, they're like, whatever it is, they want it faster because they see, everybody else is older than them, whatever happened, they want it faster, right? So there's so much more, they want to grow up so fast, right? So understanding that is one thing, right? So a 24-year-old now might be different than your version of a 24-year-old, right?
That's
a
real.
little bit, right?
That's
Not
real.
a big difference, but a little bit based off of how the market is going, their peers are going, the internet is going. So I understand that mind frame because I'm not too far off from that. And the second thing is, actually my ideal market, although young, again, it's truly understanding their psychographic, because I actually like, although we had some college students there. I mean, we did some promotion on college campuses, but my most ideal target demographic is, I think you hit it, that 24, 25-year-old, because I actually want you to graduate, go to work for a year or two, get hyped because you got your first job, you're doing better than anybody else in your family, that's all great, but then a year or two down, I would say 80%, 90% of the market will then have this inkling or feeling that, man, you know what I'm saying? I wonder if I can have my own business.
Idea.
Or they feel like the work that they're doing is hindering them further. Or they want to create, or they have other ideas, but their boss not allowing them because of the bureaucracy of the company, all these good things. So again, it's understanding that pain point, because when there's a pain point, there's a solution for it.
Yeah.
And so my perfect audience, ideally, is that 24 to 25-year-old who has graduated, who has worked a year or two, and now have that pain point. Because when I come in there and I do all these sexy, videos and graphics, and show them, all these people that they look up to who are coming, they're more likely to then convert into that buyer, right? So like, I don't want to sound bad, but high school students, you're still too young. You know what I'm saying? Even freshmen, like, your mind is a little bit different, right? You're not worried about, but that sweet spot. And then for me too, as they grow and get older, if I can be the brand that penetrates their mind and gives value to them, then there's loyalty that grows over the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years, depending on how we pivot or how we grow.
See, that's why I love the way you think, man, because like you really do think long term. Where some people like, I need to do whatever I can do right now. I need to make $1 right now. But you're like, okay, if I do it right, I can make $10 tomorrow.
Yeah.
So like, how did you develop that? Come a little closer.
Sure.
How did you develop that? Like, how old are you?
I'm 28.
28. Like, at what point did you start to think strategically?
Sure. Honestly, man, so it's one of those things where when you go through the worst times in your life is actually the best thing for you, right?
Sure.
Because like once you go so low, like there's no, like you can't go any lower, right? It's really only going up. And I think I experienced that so young, right? I'm 28, but in my mind, I'm 10 years in the game, right? So I'm equivalent to, say, a 24 or 25-year-old now that's actually 35. You get what I'm saying? So me and you could low-key be the same age
for sure.
as a mindset, right? Because I started this journey when I was 17, 18, when my parents completely let me go, when I had to sleep in my own car, when I had to, was couch surfing, like had to find food, had to find money for food. I only had $100 in my account, and it was like from that day as a freshman in college, because I no longer wanted to do what they wanted me to do, I took a bet and completely went on my own. And it's been do or die since I was 18. And so for the first 4 years, you're just learning. Yeah. You're failing.
Oh, for
you're
sure.
getting screwed over. You're, and then the next 5 years when you start getting a little bit smarter. We've all heard of the saying, it takes 10,000 hours to master everything. And so we understand that it just takes a long time. Yeah. But it's up to you to decide when those 10,000 hours get accomplished, right? So you can start now, you can start a year from now, you can start 10 years from now, but you're still gonna have to go through those 10,000 hours.
For sure.
I feel like I've just have gone through a significant part of those 10,000 hours at an earlier age because of just a very unfortunate situation that landed me in boot camp, in the military, all that good stuff, which I never, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was literally the worst times in my life.
Really?
Absolutely, absolutely.
How'd you get there?
I got to a point where I couldn't afford school. I didn't know what to do. And like you and I, we're probably intuitive to know, or at least our mind is set up to say, well, we're willing to make it happen no matter what. Or, you can be like Gary Vee and E.T. and be like, I'm willing to die for it, right? Right. And I think at that point, I had that mindset because I didn't have nothing. I was completely on my own, and I wanted to finish school because I knew that that's what was going to help build my acumen as a young adult, as a person, as a businessman. And so I enlisted myself into the Marine Corps.
Wow.
And when you enlist yourself into the Marine Corps or the Army, and mind you, this was like mid 07, 08, 09, like we were smack in the middle of
Right.
war. Everybody was like going overseas, and hell, half the people were coming back.
Right.
So in my mind, I'm like, damn, there's a good chance that my life expenses just went down, and so how bad do I really want this? And I was willing. I'm like, I'll take it or die.
Wow. So fast forward to starting your branding agency.
Yeah.
Tell me about your first client.
Oh, great.
First client.
Oh, this is a really good question. Okay, so I'll give two answers. I will say that my first client was myself first. So I used to be a DJ, right? When I was at Hampton, I used to be a DJ. The DJ before me was DJ Tay James. He went on to become Justin Bieber's DJ. DJ before that was DJ Baby Drew, local here. Chris Brown DJ. DJ before that was DJ Envy on the Breakfast Club. So I became behind a really successful lineage of DJs.
Wow.
And you know,
What college?
This was at Hampton.
At Hampton. Oh,
University.
gotcha. So Envy then. Okay,
Yeah. And so I mean, even I forgot his name, but Push's T DJ went there. I mean, I don't know how or why, but Hampton just.
If you want to be a famous DJ, okay.
Hampton helps.
Right.
So I did that, and I was DJing like crazy too. Once I really got into the groove, and once I really got into the market, and they were kind of accepting, and everything just worked out well. I remember just DJing like literally Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I mean, it was a way for me to pay for stuff too, right? So like again, people used to call me like a money whore. I was like, yo, stop being a money whore. I was like, yo, like I ain't got no other options. But I did that, and people used to always. But then so the underlying thing was, dang. So like at the time though, everybody used to call me Audio. That was my kind of DJ name. Whole school thought it, my teachers, my dean, everybody thought it was Audio. But what happened was I branded myself to be very, very synonymous to what I did, right? And it wasn't even second nature. You know what I'm saying? It was Audio first before it was Drew or Andrew. And so everybody, you know, subconsciously, everybody was like, man, so, you know, who are you going to jump on next? Like, you know what I'm saying? We all watching you, you know, all that good stuff. And at the time, though, I was going through, like, I had gone through the entertainment industry. I understood how it worked. I used to travel, club, tours, all that good stuff, concerts, all that good stuff. And ultimately, for me, I knew that this became more of a pre-dream than my actual dream. This was a means to an end to pay the bills that I got good at. It was a skill that I acquired, but this wasn't ultimately what I wanted to do. I didn't really like everything that was going on in the entertainment industry. I'm not to say that who's right or who's wrong. It's kind of everything. In my opinion, it was like everybody's out for themselves. You know what I'm saying? It's that whole thing that you can get into. And so I was like, you know what? If it happens, then great. But I don't really think this is what I wanted to do. And so I made that realization when I was a fifth year, and then I graduated. And I was like, you know what? I need to make a transition because I actually don't really want to be in the entertainment industry. But my biggest realization was, this is why I say pre-dream and dream, is because I realized my passion wasn't really DJing. My passion was really marketing and branding myself to become this DJ. Mind you, this is when Facebook, Twitter, these were when social medias are starting to grow, like dramatically grow. Mind you, we were talking 10 years ago. And so I leveraged that very well. And when you leverage that, you understand also that most of the time when people, at least at this level, they're hiring you, but they're also hiring you to access your database or distribution, right? So it becomes obvious, right? So if you're able to build, you know, your own brand and have access to the people, and you had a skill, it's like, yo, hire him and he can promote for us. You know what I'm saying? Like all that stuff. So I started to understand how the internet was really cutting out, you know, different players in the game and stuff like that, and how social media could affect that. So I start there, right? And I think most people, like, when you start out something, you kind of just start doing it yourself, right? Like,
absolutely.
Like, if nobody believes in you, start yourself, start proving a little bit, and then the next logical thing is, I had a friend at the time. His name was Bakari Taylor. He was on the basketball team, but we knew he wasn't going to the league. So I was like, yo, let me help you out. You know what I'm saying? I was like, we all know, right? So no shade, right? And I'm sure he's gonna watch this. Anyways, but he loved fitness, right? He thought he liked basketball, but his real passion, or maybe what he's more credible at, was fitness, monetizing that. I was like, all right, let me try some of my juice on you. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if I really know, right? You have to get market, I don't know what the word is. It's not confirmation, but like when the market.
Social proof.
Social proof, right? Yeah. Plug.
A little plug right there.
Right. And so I was like, okay, cool. So we started him, created him a brand, a logo, Body by Bakari. That was going to be his thing. came up with a whole business plan. We'll start by doing some free workshop at his garage, at his home. You know, that'll get people out. Then we'll try to convert there. You know, this, that. Next thing you know, I'm taking him on a tour. I was like, yo, let's get you, and this was 2014. I was like, let's do something big. Let's go on a tour. Let's do an East Coast tour. And this is more of a brand awareness play, but I think that we can pull this off. We need money. We don't have money. How do we get money? Let's do a Kickstarter campaign. So we did a Kickstarter campaign, raised like $10,000. Okay, that was my first attempt to do like an interview style video, right? Hire somebody, do a video, transcribe it, put it out there, do a little gift, you know, versions of it. That was our little campaign. We raised almost $10,000, something like that. Okay, now we had the funds to actually pull this off. Now I'm playing also the sponsorship game. Hey, you know, I got this guy, you know, we're about to go on this tour, about to do free workshops, sell it as a you know, good thing for the community thing. You know, we got Kind Snacks, we got Gatorade. Okay, they're setting that stuff. So I'm learning how to get all these different, I'm learning everything. I'm learning as I go.
Right.
But it worked out well. We got press, we got news, we got on here, and we got sponsorships. And it was at that point where I was like, all right, I think I know what I'm doing.
I do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you just have to, you do it for yourself.
Is he still
you do
doing
it-
fitness?
He is. He worked in the CrossFit world for a bit, and eventually, like, I've always told him, man, we should start a CrossFit gym because I love their franchise model. It's so cheap. But now he left CrossFit. Now he's doing an in-home training with a new startup that actually just landed on the Inc. 5000 list.
Oh wow.
So he's still learning. But I'm sure we'll get down the road and do something together because he's good at what he does, and I'm good at the business, the marketing side. And then usually, when you bring those two pieces together for any scenario, it's magic. It's very, very few people who can actually do both very, very well.
Yeah. So
very few.
After that one, that was your first one.
Yes.
What was your first big
Awesome.
win?
Yes. So after that, with that tour and with anything you do, I'm a huge fan of the law of attraction. I believe that if you put things out there and you do it at a high standard, you attract people. I'm huge on inbound marketing. I'm huge on all those things. That's the way of the world when it comes to branding now. And so I've always been that way, and now the world is kind of coming to me, which is great, or coming to this concept. Our first real big client was D'Angelo Hall from the Washington Redskins. Yeah, I worked at my job for exactly 1 year after I graduated, put in 20 hours a day. So after we started working with Bakari, that's when I started the O agency. I was like, yo, this is my first client. Kind of showed him off a little bit. Put 20 hours in every day. I was still DJing. I was working at my corporate job from 5 to 5, coming home 6 to 2 every single day. And then within 1 year, saved up enough money, being very strategic, right? Slowly transitioned out of DJing. And that tour allowed us to attract one of the guys on D'Angelo Hall's team, kind of brought him on, started working with him on a social media, off the field, marketing, branding, nonprofit. Ended up representing him on his MRN. So that's with
MRN. I know what it means. Well, I don't. I was trying to help you out.
So MRN is marketing representation something document, right?
Okay.
So basically, then it becomes a play of if you become the marketing person for this guy, right? So a lot of times agents might do it, but a lot of times these players have their own person, right, who they want to bring on, or their family or whatever, and so you basically then become the person who all endorsements come through us, and so then you would play the 20% commission game and all that good stuff.
Gotcha.
And that really put us in a cool position too.
Okay. You can take. You need the headphones? Yeah, you can take them. You can take them.
No.
Oh no, no, you good.
And
Yeah.
that was Janae, and she sent me what I needed, so all of them were there.
Okay, perfect. So obviously I know you're really running, man, but there are some. See you later. There are some entrepreneurs that are struggling, and like I know, entrepreneurship is such a trend. It's a trend. People really feel like they got to do something. They got to because everybody else is doing it, right?
Right.
What are some of the mistakes that you see entrepreneurs making that they don't even realize that they're making? They just don't know that they don't know.
This question gets asked all the time. I'm sure you get it all the time too, and I'm trying to figure out. I don't want to give a generic answer, because there's so many people who say a lot of the same things.
Well, sometimes they need to hear it again.
True. But I want to be a little different, right? So, that's just who I am. Everything is blue ocean strategy, What are the biggest mistakes that people make? I give two. And it's not going to be something that people are going to want to hear, right? Because the same reason you like me, is the same reason why nobody's gonna like this advice is because I think that because I think long term, I don't play to short term vices or economics, right? And I'm not even talking about money. I'm just talking about followers and this and this and that. I think that people, the biggest mistake, I'll put it like this. Once you have money, you can do whatever you want. Once you have money and credibility, it's not hard to grow a brand very fast, right? And so this is how I look at it. If you took 3 years for anybody, right? Let's play 2 scenarios out. One scenario is one person, and we're talking about a typical young, fresh out of college, just really wants to jump into this entrepreneurship field.
Right.
And this is this difference between short-term thinking and long-term thinking. And most everybody is short-term thinking. And so if you graduate and you want to go down this journey, there's 2 ways you could take it. One is I'm focusing so much on social media analytics and this and that, and I'm trying to build so much of a perception. And you can spend 3 years really growing that, right? Really growing your following. Or you could spend 3 years fine-tuning a craft, becoming the best at it, building clientele, really making money. And then as soon as you want to jump on social media, start taking pictures with whatever, like the right people, the right cars, right? Like it's so easy to attract people to you, right? Because the mass market is attracted by the same things, right? And so you can spend 3 years, because and we know that the only thing that can't be replaced is time, right? We know that. So in my mind, I see somebody spending 3 years so focused on spending their time trying to build, trying to just keep putting out. And I'm not saying this is a wrong strategy. I'm just saying I would veer towards more towards something real, a service, a business. Like, an entrepreneur is about building a business, right? And you spend 3 years doing that. Let's say you can get from 0 to 5 or 10,000 followers. But I think if you spend 3 years, honestly, maybe just do very little, but not really spend your time on the social media. So you're hovering around 1,000 followers for 3 years, but then you get to a good place. But then you get to a part where your economics isn't defined by how many social media followers you have, right? So that means you're making money by now, but your social strategy is more about giving versus selling.
Right.
You will see a dramatic boost literally within a year, and you will triple and double this guy because and not only that, because it's very easy once you have money or credibility to build brand. Your engagement is going to skyrocket. You'll have more confidence because people know that this is the real deal, real person, and you'll also play longer because if you spend all your time probably building social media, like you're probably also doing trendy stuff, which means you're probably also doing the typical courses or Facebook, whatever it is that you're doing, and that runs on a cycle also, just like network marketing, all these things, right? Because after a while the market becomes understand what really works and what doesn't. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I see it, and I know that for most people, they want to jumpstart now because they feel like if they have the followers, then they could promote their thing. But I don't think social media, to be honest, I think, again, I say this all the time, I don't think social media should make or break you. I think it should only optimize you and amplify what you do. And so that's my whole thesis on it. Obviously, there are also people that do very well doing this side too. But I do think on the long term and also impact of doing it the right way, I think is the way that I've kind of is option B. Because what happens also is, and I hear Gary says this all the time, so I'm just gonna be like, I agree with it, and I think that's real. When you decide to monetize your social media, the reason why Gary blows up so fast is because his economics isn't in the social, right? He makes money regardless. And so when you're giving, you're obviously gonna keep attracting, and you're gonna grow substantially. What happens is, and it's better just to be in that boat, because as soon as you decide to monetize on your audience, what happens is people put you in a bucket, whether you realize it or not, and say, oh, everything he does, he just wants to sell me, right? And so they start paying attention a little bit less, or they're not as engaged because nobody likes to be sold to. Yet if you're using your social media to only sell, then they put you in this bucket, and they're not as bought into you. You know what I'm saying? The psychology is, oh, he just wants to sell me, right? After a while, network marketing really started to die off because people knew, like, yes, on the network marketing side, you're very privy and you know how to go against every objection. They teach you how to do that because I was in that world too, so I get it.
Sure.
We all went into it, right? So we get it. But then you start to pick up on things. You're like, yo, you know what I'm saying? I'm not. Like, I already know what you're doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not. And
Are your income options open?
right?
Like, come on, I know what to say.
Right. Like, I already know. I already peeped. And that's the same thing that's gonna happen eventually. And so people put you in that bucket, and they'll like you as a friend, but they're very weary of things, right? And so that starts happening too. So now it becomes not only the amount of money that you're making, but how you're making it. So I think everybody, look, at the end of the day, I don't care how you make your money. It doesn't really matter to me. I know with me and in my house and when I'm doing it, there's a certain way that I think plays better over 30 years. The other option too is, the reality is too, if you do play the first avenue, to be honest, it's very easy to rebrand too. I'm just be real, right? I mean, you can go away for a year, come back, start a whole new thing, delete all your pictures, start over, meet a new you know what I'm saying? And so, hey, that works too. And you know what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with that too. You know, you do what you do because I do think at the beginning, everybody's gonna do what they have to do just to make $1. If you have nothing, then you're gonna have to do what you're gonna have to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I understand that because I was there too. So again, there's nothing wrong with it. But as you grow to every level, you also act to that level, and you understand that you get smarter, the market gets smarter, and you play a different game. And so, man, like, I think about this all the time, man. Sometimes I'm like, yo, I should just freaking create a course on how to build a huge conference, right? And I would probably sell freaking tens of thousands.
Right.
But you know what? I'm like, I don't want to play that. I don't want to play that game. Not yet. I want to be seen as the person that really truly wants to help, because everybody says they want to help, but some people charge for the help, or some people really do want to help. So do you really want to help, or do you really want my money to help? And so it's nothing wrong with it. It's just, I know your intentions is money first and then help, which is different, because when people have to decide, okay, I'm gonna go to his event or his event, oh, I know he really wants to help me. And so I'm gonna get 1,000 people to come to mine. You know what I'm saying? It's intentions. It's so many things, right? It's like, it's multiple layers of converting in the psychology of people and stuff like that. So.
Man, for everyone, I like to make predictions, okay?
Sure.
Or I like to see predictions.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I'm asking you this because I want to be able to look back at this video 5 years from today and say, yo, Drew said he was going to do that, and he did it. That's crazy. So give me your 5-year predictions.
Yeah. Okay, cool. A couple things for me. I think that, I know people would be like, really? So 2 things. The obvious, well, one is I think that I am going to, it's gonna be so funny. Okay, 2 big things that pop into my mind right now.
You're 33.
Yeah, 2 things. One is I think I'm gonna be in front of a stage of at least 10,000 people or more. I think we're gonna build the conference to that point. So I think that's one that is a good chance of happening. The other one, which I don't think most people are gonna expect, is I think I'm gonna play a significantly less role on just social media and even being the face of things. And even just social media in general.
Why?
I think because just like the feelings that I felt when I went through college and understood the entertainment industry, I think everybody wants to be famous, not realizing what famous comes with. I think that it's not what people truly, because they haven't been there, right? Like,
oh, so not that you're not going to be utilizing social media, you're just not going to be the face.
And I'll be utilizing it very differently, or I'll honestly, as of right now, I truly feel like I'll just probably use it less too. I'll be honest with you. Like, I will really be honest with you. I don't think that I'm already there now where I don't feel like I have anything to prove to anybody, right? Most of the time, social media is more of it's a very, whether you agree with it or not, like, it feels good to grow, to have a lot of likes, to have a lot of engagement. Like, it feels good, right? And a lot of people are or get validation out of it. And I think there's nothing wrong with that, right? I'm at this mind frame with this mindset, and if I'm already here now, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be there in 5 years from now. And look, man, when we hear about who are the two people that just like people don't realize, man, like when you hear about the two people that just recently committed suicide who are super famous, I'll see it, like people don't realize, like, you think you're going through depression and mental anxiety and stress right now, and you're not even anybody famous, or like what do you think happens when you have 50, 100, 200,000 followers? You know what I'm saying? And not like, again, I say it, like people want to be famous so bad because it looks good, but when you understand that your appreciation for life and your confidence level and your gratitude level should not come from there, and if it does, I think it's only going to make it worse. I only think that people are going, because it's a pressure you're putting on yourself to always level up and do more. Not to say that's wrong either.
Right.
Some people can manage that very, very well. I just know, now the question becomes, what really makes you happy? Because if social media and likes and followers makes you happy, then great, keep doing that. But I think that I can find beauty and joy without having the stress that comes with that pressure and that keeping up with the Jones mentality and that trying to impress people and trying to have the nicest clothes, cars, house, all that good stuff. I'm really, really in a space right now because, I think it's only because of exposure. I think it's only because I've got a chance to build, grow, and be around the 2% now, and have clients at this level, where I'm like, you know what? I'd really, really rather have $500,000, $1 million in my bank account, and live so frugal, travel, do things. Maybe nobody even knows who I am, but I think that's going to give me more joy than being the guy that everybody wants to take something out of. You know what I'm saying? And so this is just me personally. You know, like I appreciate simple things, which is I think that it's allowed me to grow out. I recently made a post where like I think I'm about to even go down this minimalism lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that it's more sustainable. And again, when you're talking long term, I'm like, bro, I'm trying to like be good, right, for the rest of my life, right? I think that a lot of people, I've seen so many people, even in the athlete world, obviously, right? The peak of their life is 25, 26, 27. I talk about this, I have a conversation a lot about this. People don't realize their peak is at 25, 26. But what happens, think about long term, what happens is after that, their life goes down. For us, for the average person, we start lower, but if we continue to build and grow, our life and happiness actually goes up while theirs goes down because they reached a peak so fast and so high, and they'll never experience that level of, you know what I'm saying, of just excitement or high or being in front, you know what I'm saying? And then it just goes down. And so if you know how to build slow and build up and appreciate little things, I think your happiness index, which is what I'm measuring more now versus monetary and economic impact, I'm measuring based off of that. And so I think that, yes, I'll continue to grow, but I'm also very aware of what social media does to a lot of people, a lot of things that people are not talking about. I mean, people are starting to talk about it, but I think it's worse than what people are talking about.
Like what?
In terms of like mental anxiety, in terms of addiction, depression, and of course, even with more so saying, we already know even it's already a thing. It's becoming a more said thing, and we already know that in the minority community alone, it's always been more taboo because you don't want to seem weak. You don't want to seem like you have an issue or a problem, so you don't seek help, or you don't even just feel like you're talking about it, right? There's a lot of these social issues, everything from your sexuality to your mental state, like it's being more said and done because it's becoming more accepted. But that doesn't mean it hasn't been happening or it's happening on a very, very, deep level for a lot of people. Actually, in 5 years, I'll probably start a therapist or something, because that's where the market is going.
Therapy.
I'll probably start that. And
Dang, that's dope.
I'll probably do that. That's
Did
probably
you
what I
just
would
think
do.
of that just now while you were talking about it?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because I know that's where the market is going.
Yeah.
And because I really want to help people, because I know it's going to be a big need, That's what I'll do.
Social media.
That's
therapy.
probably what I'll rather.
See, as though it
do.
came like on this conversation. Can I be down? Can we partner?
Of course.
Oh, for sure. We're gonna start a business. That's what's
Let's
up. 5
keep-
years.
Let's keep
Okay.
building, bro. Let's keep building, man.
Any other predictions? Any other predictions?
Yeah, I think I'll be there.
Platform 10,000. Like you live without a cell phone. That's the coolest life ever. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I think. I mean, overarching prediction. I saw this today, and I actually agree with it too. I think in the next 10 to 20 years, also. So tech is obviously very important, right? And we want as many people to get as possible because it's a high-paying skill, whether you use it for yourself or you get a job. So I think just economically, that makes a lot of sense to be more impactful and fulfilling and leave a longer legacy. I think everybody, especially in the minority community, should get more into tech, and that's part of a lot of the stuff that we're doing and educating people on. Whether it's skills as in content creation, production, all that good stuff. It's a really great skill. I think though, just like with any trend and pendulum, once it goes far left, everybody does it, it becomes mass market. That means it becomes more democratized. That means it becomes more saturated. That means it becomes less value too. So then if you think about it at that level, not 5 years, but 10, 15, 20, then the pendulum has to go another way. And then the other way, in my opinion, is then I saw this because, and it just made perfect sense. Mark Cuban had a quote. He said, I think in the next 10 to 20 years, the arts and the school of whatever, you know what I'm saying, that super creative stuff then becomes the highest paying skill. Because once everything becomes automated and digitized and all that good stuff, the next thing after that becomes creative. Like creative is very hard to scale.
Yeah.
So now you have to learn not the actual skill of clicking, doing, plugging. It's how do we become more creative with it, because then that becomes the blue ocean strategy in 10, 20 years when you know what I'm saying? So now, you know, when you start thinking about like that too, but that's pretty far off, right? I mean, that's super far off, but I think about all that stuff.
Wow, that's dope, man. I appreciate you, man. Please let people know how to find you. And obviously, you got something coming out now. So this interview will live for years. So
Awesome.
you kind of tell them about what you got coming up right now, which
Yeah.
I'll be at.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be at BYOB.
Yeah,
Okay,
of
but
course.
tell everybody what you got going on, how to follow you.
It's an honorary
what you
founder
got.
right here.
Oh, for
But all
sure.
the speakers are honorary. We'll start hazing the new speakers. Yeah, man. At Brand with Drew. I would say BYOBretreatlive.com. That website's going to be there forever. I mean, I know we're going through a rebranding thing that we already talked about. So, but for now, I would say just check out BYOBretreatlive.com. If you follow BYOB Society, anything that changes, you'll see there too. But we're excited to bring that to Atlanta next year.
Yeah.
We're excited it's in May. It's mid-year. It's the last weekend in May, Memorial Day weekend. If you're over partying and you're done with it, come over here. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Let's come and build. Let's come and grow. We have usually the best of the best and the brightest minds come through. People who have built legitimate 6 and 7 figure businesses, trying to educate and give you guys the best stuff. And that happens every Memorial Day weekend. And so we'll be in Atlanta next year. And so we're really excited. But if you guys follow myself, I'll keep everybody updated at Brand with Drew.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Thank you.